I've been trying to. All right. This is an issue that I don't know. I've been trying to cover it for a while now, and I've actually recorded a couple of videos on this subject. But it's just like I get sidetracked or start ranting a lot. It's one of those things. I have that issue whenever it's something that's sort of near and dear to my heart, or it's something I'm really passionate about. I get can get a little ranting off subject. But anyway, there has been a continued push in from the Hillary Clinton side of the Democratic Party, I guess, to try to frame the loss of the 2016 election as a example of sexism and misogyny of the American people. That's why she lost, is because of misogyny and the patriarchy and sexism. Like, gee, I never saw that idea coming from the feminist community, feminists in the media. Like, why did the first woman presidential candidate lose? Because sexism. Really, it couldn't possibly be because she was corrupt, or because of the sketchy dealings with the Clinton Foundation, the Clinton Global Initiative, the paid speeches where she gushed all over the big banks and said that she wanted to put them in charge of writing banking regulation. Or the other paid speech where she said she had that, it's important for her to have a public and private position on things. No, it wasn't that. It wasn't her 180 on healthcare, or her voting for the war in Iraq, or any of the other repulsive conservative things that she has done in her past. No, it was sexism. And I think that's an interesting opinion, or interesting position, especially considering that actually when you actually look at the exit polling from the election. Hang on. When you look at the exit polling and the demographics, you actually find it actually reveals something interesting. And that is that Hillary Clinton actually lost. There we go. In her demographics, one area where she actually did not do well was white women. So, I don't know, what was that, internalized misogyny? Or internalized sexism? Like, the women themselves were like, oh no, a woman can never be president. And that's why, like, what happened to your whole, like, woman power thing? Like, we're all sisters in this, the sisterhood kind of thing. And of course, I'm sure they will come up with the reason. I believe one of the articles goes into that about like, oh well, this is what we were told as people, and it's still because patriarchy. And this is one of those subjects like I will absolutely have to go a lot more deeper into the various areas of this election, kind of breaking things down and going into like the whole thing in later videos. But in this one, I just want to kind of share sort of an epiphany that I had when it came to this. One, I think that the idea that, oh, it was sexism that cost her the election, yeah, never mind all the other, everything else, that I've already mentioned, so I won't go through it again. No, it wasn't that. It was sexism. I think it's a bullshit argument, especially considering, like I said, the majority of white women, non-college graduates, voted for Trump. 62 to 34. So, and that brings up something that this is what kind of led to my little epiphany here. If you look at the demographics, the areas at which were the biggest change that showed the largest difference from past elections were college educated and non-college educated voters. Like, there is a huge difference between the two. Especially white voters. Like, white voters were white non-college educated white voters. Women voted 34% for Clinton and 62% for Trump. And then white men without college degrees voted 23% for Clinton and 72% for Trump. And that kind of this is what led me to this little thought. Is that the way I get, and I've heard sort of the high school graduate level sort of lower class or working class individuals. I've heard the way they're mentioned in media and by pundits and things like that. I feel like I kind of get this vibe that the way they feel is that essentially these people are uneducated. They don't know any better, and or they're racist slash sexist, and they're conservative. And yeah, I'm sure there are a number of people like that. That are, there are a number of racists, there are a number of people who are sexist in this country. But what I think is when you look at elections of the past, those are the same demographics that I believe Barack Obama actually did very well with. If you look at the, with, it definitely did better. Well, okay. College graduates, if you look at previous examples of elections, for instance, in 2012, in the article here that from Pew Research says, for example, in 2012, there was hardly any difference between the two groups. College graduates backed Obama over Romney by 50% to 48%, and those without a college degree also supported Obama 51% to 49%. So, in 2012, those people that went incredibly for Trump voted for Barack Obama. So, what is the argument? That it's okay, they'll vote for a black guy twice, but they won't vote for a woman? Really, when you think about it, when you look at a lot of, I don't know about the two, racism, sexism. Living in the South, honestly, I've seen a lot more instances of racism than I have sexism. As far as it still being a thing, or a bit of an issue. But what I take away from this is that, people voting based on personal beliefs, whether they're racist, whether they're sexist, whether they're anti-Semitic, whatever. For a large amount of your standard everyday Americans, voting according to your personal beliefs is more of a luxury. Specifically, more of a luxury for kind of like upper middle class and up kind of voters. Because they have more of like for instance, if you're college graduate, you have good career, good job, good paying job with good benefits, retirement, good insurance, and all that stuff, a little money in the bank. You're more insulated. You get to be a little more insulated from what's going on in the world. If you're in that situation and the Affordable Care Act is done away with, you're not going to feel that pain as quickly, if at all. If minimum wage if inflation continues to go up and the minimum wage continues to stay right where it's at, you're not going to feel that pain as much. If for whatever else it may happen, you're not going to, those people are more insulated. But if you look at it from the other, so they can have that choice. Okay, well, things are actually going pretty well for me. I could vote for Clinton. You could vote for Clinton to break the glass ceiling and to put a woman in office as your primary goal in the election. Because it's not gonna harm you if you go another 4 to 8 years without really anything changing. If you're actually doing pretty well, then yeah, hey, maintaining status quo, what's going on right now, isn't a problem. It's not an issue for you. It's not going to cause any real negative impacts in your life. But if you're working minimum wage, or you're working one of those like $10 an hour, $11 an hour jobs, if you're one of those 60% of Americans that are making $30,000 or less, then you feel the pain a lot. If they cut Obamacare, if they cut the Affordable Care Act, and your premiums go up, that hurts, and you feel it. If wages continue to be stagnant, you feel it. It has a direct impact on you. If the economy crashes, more than likely, you're going to be one of the first ones on the chopping block to lose your job. All these issues, these trade deals that send manufacturing and service jobs, things like that, will send jobs overseas. They have more than likely will affect you. So you don't have that option, in my opinion. A lot of times, you don't have the luxury of saying okay, yeah, this candidate's not my favorite, but hey, let's put a woman in charge. It's time to have a woman president. No, you need someone who's not going to put through something like the TPP, or someone who's going to try. When you have someone like Clinton who's basically campaigning on the platform of nothing's going to fucking change. We're going to keep the same shit that's not working for a lot of people. We're going to keep it going for another. Think about that. When you're making less than $30,000, you're making $27,000 a year or $30,000 a year. You can barely get by. You can barely make your rent. You never can put anything away in savings. Your health care is shit, and the premiums keep going up, and your pay doesn't go up. It just stays. And it hurt. And every month, every year, it hurts. It's harder and harder to get by, and you're faced with one candidate who's basically coming out and saying, we're not going to make anything better for you for the next 4 to 8 years. If you're in this rut, if you're in a bad place right now, you're probably going to be in that same place 4 to 8 years from now. Versus a candidate that's saying, hey, we're going to do something. We're going to bring back the jobs. We're going to get rid of we're going to rejigger NAFTA and these trade agreements so we're not getting, so Americans and American jobs aren't getting screwed. We're gonna rebuild our infrastructure, and we're gonna make sure you have what you need. That is whether or not Trump was lying, which pretty much he is. It's pretty obvious at this point. It's still something. You know, I said you've got people that another 4 to 8 years of what their life currently involves is soul crushing. And to all but promise to maintain that is not how you're going to get fucking votes. Whereas you have the other one who's promising to change things. And yeah, it's bullshit. Yeah, he's not going to do a goddamn thing that he promised. With the exception of, at the moment at least, canceling the TPP. Which again, I'll give him credit for that. That was good. That would have been a disaster for our country. But you know, that's why you lose. You know, it's like, you know, you get these people that, like, the in closing, I guess my point is, like, these people that, like, the lower class, as far as income, not like, oh, you low class ruffian, wastrel, whatever. No, not that. Just low income. Like, the low income, you know, high school diploma only, you know, working poor kind of level people. You know, I don't think, you know, they voted for Trump. Honestly, I don't think it's because they're conservative. In my opinion, is because their life sucks. And whether or not actual change happens in the next 4 to 8 years has a definite, an immediate impact on their lives. And what Hillary Clinton presented to them was unacceptable. It was more of the same. This system that's not working for you, this system that's slowly crushing you, that's depressing, that's stressful, that's shortening your lifespan, we're just going to keep it going. So vote for me. That's why she lost. That's why so many of the, you know, uneducated, non-college educated white people all voted for her. It's not that they're, you know, granted, I'm sure, yes, of course, there are some racist and sexist people out there, but it's not because, you know, so much of the fucking country is that. It's because she offered nothing. And when you're in an area where, as I said, if things remain the same in 8 years, they could be in a serious world of hurt. And to run on that platform that I'm not going to change anything, that costs you the fucking election. Not sexism, all right? Not misogyny, not the patriarchy. It is the fact that she was a crap candidate that was basically promising to keep poor, you know, hardworking people who can't get ahead, who are always, you know, one step forward, 2 steps back in life with wages, with healthcare, with jobs. She was promising to keep them right where they're at. And that's why she lost. This is what I mean about videos like this. I go on, and here we are at 18 minutes, so that's it. I will post links, some articles in the description. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, whatever you'd like. And I'll see you next time.